What is up there, YouTube? This is J-Man Time, and today I have another video on surviving warships of the German Kriegsmarine, or Kriegsmarine. And this was the German Navy of the Second World War. Now, a year ago, I did a video on surviving ocean-going warships of the Kriegsmarine. But now we're going to do a video on surviving Kriegsmarine warships of the German Danube or Donau River battalions that were stationed on the Donau River, based both in Austria and later on in Romania during the battles of the Eastern Front between the German-led Axis Navy and the Soviet-led navies operating in the Black Sea and the Donau River. Now, many don't know it, but there are actually two surviving German monitor ships, or guard ships as they were known during the Second World War. And these two surviving vessels are known as the Kriemhild and Grafenstein, which were constructed between 1938 and 1932. So I'm going to go over the history of these two vessels individually. And the first ship in this video is the Kms Kriemhild, which was a German command monitor and fleet tender that was constructed between 1938 and 1940. The ship had a displacement of 693 tons. Her main armament was two 20mm Flak 38 autocannons or anti-aircraft autocannons, and she was also armed with two 7.92mm machine guns, most likely the MG34 and later the MG42 series. And there are some other sources that state that this vessel might have been armed with one or two 37mm Flak 30 or Flak 36 anti-aircraft autocannons later on. Her armor thickness is largely unknown, and she had a speed of 10.8 knots, and she had a crew of 32, but she could also carry 74 passengers, whether it be civilians or actual German ground troops. Now, she was built along with two other ships, her sister ships, the Brunhild or Brunhilde, and her sister ship, the Uta, which were all part of one class known as the Kriemhild class of guard ship or river monitors that were constructed between 1938 and 1940. Now, all three of these ships served in the German Danube fleet alongside and Romanian warships operating both in the Danube River and in the Black Sea region of Russia and Eastern Europe during the Second World War. This ship actually managed to sink a Russian submarine. Yes, the Kriemhild actually sank a Russian M-class, a midget or medium submarine operating in the Black Sea in the years 1942 or 1943. Later on in 1945, the Kriemhild was actually captured by American forces, later was sold to the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in the 1950s, and she later served in the Yugoslav Navy as a guard ship and later on as a passenger ship. When Yugoslavia pretty much collapsed in the 1990s, she was later given to the state of Serbia, and she still survives today. She still survives in Serbia under the name Ms Kozara, and the Kozara today is a passenger ship operating on the Danube River in the Serbia area of the river. So this old World War II era German monitor still survives to this very day and is still being used as an active river ferry / passenger vessel, which is what she was originally designed as. Before being converted into a command monitor and fleet tender, she was originally constructed to be a civilian passenger ship in 1938, before the war actually broke out. Now, her sister ships actually survived too. The Brunhild was later captured by the U.S. forces also, and actually served in the U.S.-occupied portions of Germany until the 1950s when the U.S. forces scaled down in Western Germany. Later on, she too was served to the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and served both as a naval vessel and later as a passenger vessel up until the year 1999 when the Brunhilde was decommissioned and sold for scrap. Her sister ship, the Uta, was later sunk in 1945 but was later salvaged by the Soviet Union and was renamed Angara, serving in the Russian Black Sea Fleet and in the Russian Danube Flotilla. Afterwards, in the 1970s, she was decommissioned also, but what happened to her is largely unknown. I can't find any more information on whether or not the KMS Uta is still in existence. So she might actually still survive somewhere out there in Russia, but for now, only the Kriemhild survives as one of the last surviving command monitors or monitor warships of the German Kriegsmarine operating in the Black Sea Fleet region and on the Danube River. The next ship on the list is the Kms Grafenstein. The Kms Grafenstein was a German Bergleitender or river escort ship / minesweeper that was constructed between 1941 and entering service in 1942. Her displacement was 360 tons, and her main armament was also two 20mm Flak 38 autocannons, and she was also fitted with two 7.92mm machine guns. Her armor thickness is unknown also, and she had a speed of only 8 knots and a crew of 54. Now, the Grafenstein also served in the German Danube Flotilla along with other improvised monitors or former passenger vessels converted into warships, and she was used as a river escort ship and a minesweeper with the 116th Brigade of the German Minesweeper Flotilla. She also served alongside with the Romanian Danube Flotilla and with the Romanian warships operating in the Black Sea region. Later on, in August 1944, the Grafenstein was actually scuttled by her crew near the port city of Sistar in order to keep her from being captured by advancing Soviet troops. And then later on, in late 1944, she was actually raised by the Soviet Union and was later pressed into service with the Russian Danube fleet, the Russian minesweeper T-670 in October 1944. She served as a Soviet minesweeper until 1956. She was later decommissioned, only to be recommissioned again in 1959 as a messenger ship known as Messenger Ship 74. She would serve in this capacity until 1961, where she was renamed the Desna in 1961, and then she was renamed again to the PS-10, Messenger Ship PS-10, until June 1977. She was renamed again as the Communications Vessel SSV-10, serving all the way up until 1995. After the fall of the Soviet Union, she was later taken over by the Ukrainian Navy operating on the Danube River, where she currently still serves today as the Ukrainian guard ship BC-80, also known as Grafenstein, in the modern-day Ukrainian Navy. So she actually still survives also as a functioning warship. So the old ship Grafenstein is actually still in service as a functioning warship, making her the oldest German-built warship still in service anywhere in the world. And the Ukrainian fleet really has no plans to decommission her. She is still in service, but she is in bad need of an overhaul. She is still using her original 1942 built German-made diesel engines. And the ship does look pretty beat up after being in service for over 70 years at this point. But there you have it. These are the last two surviving German monitor warships from the Second World War. The Kms Kriemhild and the Kms Grafenstein, which were constructed between 1938 and 1942. Do you think these vessels will stay in service for another 10 or 20 years? Or do you think they'll be decommissioned and scrapped like their sister ships? Hopefully they are preserved as museum ships, but for now, these two vessels are still in use, one as a passenger vessel and another as a functioning border guard ship in Ukraine and Serbia and Ukraine, respectively. So until next time, this was a J-Man Time, signing off.
der in Budapest stationierten Donauflottille der Kriegsmarine laufen bei starkem Nebel zur Abwehr von Schlachtfliegerangriffen aus. Konzentrisches Feuer von Flakfähren schlägt den angreifenden Maschinen entgegen, verhindert die